The auction room smelled of oil, rust, and fear. Mark stood at the back, arms crossed, watching the row of cages lined up like cattle pens. Slaves, alien and human alike, were being sold off one by one. Most were too thin to walk. Some were chained. None made a sound, but one cage. One cage made him stop. Inside, a girl sat curled in the corner. Her skin shimmered a soft violet under the dirty lights. Her hair was silver, glowing faintly like it held moonlight. She was small, barely 5 feet, but something about her made Mark's chest tighten. 2 glowing bracelets were locked around her wrists. They pulsed slowly, as if breathing. Next! The auctioneer barked. Lot 117. Defective product. Silent. Doesn't eat. Might be broken. A few in the crowd laughed. Mark frowned. Something wasn't right. As the gate opened, the girl didn't move. She stared at the floor, trembling. Mark raised his hand. 500 credits, he said. Everyone turned. A man in dusty armor, bidding. No refunds on broken ones. The seller warned. I'll take her, Mark replied. A moment later, the cage opened. The girl didn't move until Mark stepped closer. Her eyes, wide and glowing with a strange golden light, met his for the first time. And then she flinched. Not from fear, but from confusion. Come on, Mark said gently. You're free now. He held out his hand. Her gaze dropped to her bracelets. She lifted her arms slightly, as if asking for permission. Mark saw the metal shimmer with strange symbols. Hold still. He took out a small cutting tool from his belt and began to slice through the first bracelet. The moment the blade touched the metal, the bracelet screamed. It wasn't a sound. Not really. It was a feeling. Like a scream deep inside Mark's skull, echoing in his bones. The girl cried out and grabbed his hand. Stop, she whispered. Please. But the bracelet clicked and unlocked. It fell to the ground. The second one came off easily, and then silence. The girl stood frozen, eyes wide, lips shaking. Slowly, she knelt on the ground and covered her face. Mark crouched beside her. Hey, you're free now. It's over. She looked up, and tears rolled down her cheeks. She whispered something in a soft alien tongue. What did you say? Mark asked. She touched his hand gently, then pointed to the bracelets lying on the floor. You took them off. I had to, Mark said. They were hurting you. No, she said, voice trembling. Now, we are bound. Mark's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? She hesitated, then pointed to her heart. You remove bond bracelets, only mate can remove. Mate? Mark blinked. As in marriage? She nodded, then cried harder. Mark stood up, completely stunned. A marriage ritual? From bracelets? What kind of species did that? You don't have to worry, he said quickly. It was a mistake. I was just trying to help you. You're not my she. Suddenly looked up, panic in her voice. No mistake. The ship, it knows. Code. Triggered. What code? As if to answer him, the wall nearby flashed red. A robotic voice spoke through a hidden speaker. Soul bond confirmed. Royal protocol activated. DNA lock registered. Mate bonded. Partner logged. Mark's heart dropped. What the hell? The girl hugged herself, shaking. Now they will come. For you. Who's they? Royal Guard. Empire. You touched me. You freed me. You mine now. Mark took a step back. No. That can't be how it works. But deep down he knew. Something ancient and powerful had just happened. And he couldn't undo it. Looked at the girl, no, the young alien woman who stared at him with wide, terrified eyes. I don't even know your name, he whispered. She wiped her tears and said softly, Aria. Outside the ship, 3 beacons lit up in space, silent distress signals that only royal trackers could see. The chase had already begun, and Mark didn't even know what he had just married into. The ship was quiet, too quiet. Mark sat in the pilot's seat, staring at the bracelet that now lay cold on the table. It looked like normal metal. But deep inside, he knew it wasn't. It had screamed. It had felt alive. And it had done something the moment he touched it. Behind him, Arya sat with her knees pulled to her chest, watching the stars outside. Mark finally asked, "What are these bracelets really?" She didn't look at him. "They are not just chains. They are blood code seals." "Blood code?" he repeated. She turned her head slowly, her golden eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "My people. When we are born into the royal line, we wear the bracelets. They choose our mate. Only he can break them. If someone else touches them, the seal is broken forever." Mark frowned. "So I broke some kind of ancient rule?" Arya nodded slowly. "You broke more than rule. You changed fate." He looked at her. "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to help." She nodded again. "But the bracelets don't care." Just then, the ship lights flickered. A warning sound beeped twice. Mark leaned forward and checked the screen. "Incoming signal. Class red alert. Identity trace detected. Target locked." "What is this?" he muttered. Arya stood up, eyes wide. "They found us." "Who?" "The Empire. My mother's people. They believe you stole me and broke the blood code." Mark cursed. "Great. So now I'm a kidnapper and a husband?" Arya stepped closer, her voice soft. "No, you are something more dangerous now, a bonded male." Mark stood up from the chair. "I don't even know what that means." She placed her palm against his chest. "It means you carry the key to my life and my death." He froze. Her touch felt warm, but something deeper stirred. Like energy was flowing from her into him. "What's happening?" he asked. Arya closed her eyes. "Our blood is sinking. The code inside the bracelets, it has marked your DNA." "Wait, hold on. You're saying I'm part alien now?" She nodded slowly. "Your body is changing. Not outside, inside. You are becoming my anchor." Mark sat back down, hands on his face. "I just wanted to buy a broken cage. I didn't want this." A sudden explosion rocked the ship. Alarms flashed red. "Alert. External lockdown initiated. Boarding party inbound." Arya gasped. "They're here. Who?" Mark asked, standing. "Quickly." She whispered, "The hunters of Varrock." Before Mark could ask anything more, a beam of light shot through the ceiling, melting the metal. He grabbed her hand. "We're leaving now." They rushed to the emergency pod bay. Arya stumbled. Mark caught her, lifted her easily in his arms, and ran. The walls behind them burst into flames. Metal cracked and hissed. He threw her into the pod and jumped in. After her. "Go, go!" she cried. Mark slammed the launch button. The pod blasted out into space, just as 3 black hunter ships surrounded the wreckage of his freighter. Mark panted, heart racing. "We're safe. For now." Arya didn't speak. She was watching him closely. "What?" he asked. She leaned forward. "Your eyes." He blinked. "What about them?" "They are glowing, like mine." Mark grabbed the small mirror from the pod storage wall. He stared. She was right. His blue eyes now had a faint gold shimmer. "What's happening to me?" Arya whispered. "The blood code is rewriting you." He stared into the mirror, whispering, "What did I just become?" The escape pod drifted silently through the stars. Mark leaned against the wall, eyes closed. He hadn't slept in almost 20 hours. Every breath felt heavy. His head ached, and his eyes still shimmered gold. Across from him, Arya sat with her knees drawn up, arms wrapped around herself. She hadn't spoken in over 10 minutes. The silence between them wasn't peaceful. It was full of questions neither of them knew how to ask. Finally, Mark broke it. "Why do they care so much?" Arya looked up. "Because I am not just any girl. I figured that part out," Mark said. Royal bracelets, screaming DNA, glowing eyes. But why is the Empire sending death squads just because I took them off? She hesitated, then whispered, because you didn't just remove them. You claimed me. I didn't claim anyone, Mark said. I just wanted to help. She looked away. To them, that doesn't matter. The bracelets accepted you. That makes you my mate, my partner. And that makes you the future king of a bloodline they hate. Mark blinked. Wait, king? Suddenly, the pod system flashed red. Incoming transmission, urgent bounty and notice. Mark tapped the console. A screen appeared. A robotic voice said, wanted, human male, species, Terran. Crime, abduction of royal blood. Reward, 900,000 credits. Dead or alive? Mark's photo flashed on the screen, his face. His ship ID. His DNA print. He stared in disbelief. That's not good. Arya leaned in. They just made you the most hunted man in 5 sectors. And I don't even know how to shoot a laser gun, he muttered. She smiled faintly. Then we'll have to run smarter, not harder. Mark exhaled slowly. Do you have anyone who can help us? Arya paused. Maybe. She pressed a few buttons on the console and typed coordinates. Mark read the location. Cyros 9. Outer free zone. What's there? She looked at him serious. A smuggler. An old friend of my mother's. He hides things. People. Can we trust him? No, but he hates the Empire. Good enough, Mark said. The pod changed course. But as it turned, they didn't notice the small silver drone that had latched onto the engine, a tracker, pulsing silently. Meanwhile, in the dark halls of the Imperial command ship, Commander Thrill stood over a table full of floating holograms. And officer spoke. The tracker has locked on the escape pod. The Terran and the Royal Girl are heading towards Cyros 9. Commander. Thrall's sharp jaw tightened. They think they can run. But the code is active. The bond has begun. We don't need both. What do you mean, sir? Thrall smiled coldly. Kill the human. We'll retrieve the girl and reset her blood code. Back in the pod. Arya watched Mark quietly as he adjusted the pod's manual steering. You could still leave me, she said suddenly. He turned to her. What? You could sell me, turn me in, take the reward. Mark stared at her. Then he said, do you think I'm that kind of man? No, she whispered. But I had to ask. He looked at her for a long moment. Arya, I'm not a hero. I fix junk. I haul broken tech. I've never even been in a real fight, but when I saw you in that cage, something inside me said, don't walk away, and now here we are. She looked down, fingers brushing her bare wrists. The bracelets chose you. I didn't ask them to, he said. But I'm not leaving. You. For a moment, her face softened. Then the ship shook violently. Warning. Hostile ship approaching. The pod's AI shouted. Mark's heart jumped. We've been followed. Outside, a small black hunter ship appeared, its cannons glowing red. Arya gasped. It's Thrall's men. Mark checked the controls. We're out of weapons, no shields. Just this pod. He looked at Arya. Got any powers hidden in that glowing blood of yours? She smiled faintly. Maybe. She stood up, closed her eyes, and placed both hands on the wall. The pod lights flickered. Suddenly, a burst of golden energy exploded from the pod's engine, frying the tracker and pushing the pod forward like a bullet. The hunter ship fell. Behind, its sensors blinded. Mark stared at her. What the hell was that? She collapsed into his arms, weak but alive. Our bond. It's giving me access to something. Something I've never felt before. Mark held her, stunned. Well, I'm starting to think these bracelets were more than just jewelry. Mark guided the pod gently down through the clouds of Cyros 9. The sky was dark green, thick with fog. Below them, a hidden outpost lay buried inside a canyon where smugglers, thieves, and rebels hid from the galaxy. We're here, Mark sighed, looking over his shoulder. Arya didn't answer. She sat quietly in the co-pilot seat, staring at nothing. A single tear ran down her cheek. Arya? Mark asked gently. She blinked slowly and whispered, I saw you again. He frowned. What do you mean? I'm right here. She shook her head. No, I saw you in a memory, but it wasn't mine. What? Kind of memory? Her voice cracked. I don't know, a war. A burning palace. I was someone else. And you were there, but older. Or maybe a different version of you. You died in my arms. Mark stared at her. She wiped her face, clearly confused and shaken. Every time I cry now, I remember things I never lived. I think the bond is opening. More than just power, it's opening past lives. He couldn't explain it, but he believed her. Maybe the bracelets didn't just choose a mate. Maybe they remembered them. Again and again, the pod landed with a hiss. The canyon base wasn't much, just metal shacks and armed guards. Mark helped Arya out. Her legs were shaky. A gruff alien with tusks approached them. You the one who called? Yes. Mark said. We need to see Narek. The guard looked at Arya, eyes narrowing. She's Empire blood. We don't let her kind walk free here. She's not with them anymore, Mark said firmly. She's with me. The guard grunted and waved them through. They entered a rusted door. Inside was a smoky bar lit with red lights and strange music. At the back, a tall man with silver tattoos sat alone, drinking black liquid from a glass that glowed. Narek. Arya said softly. He looked up and froze. Arya? His voice was cold, shocked. You're supposed to be dead. I escaped. His eyes flicked to Mark. Who's the human? She replied quietly. He's the one who freed me. Narek stood up fast. He what? I didn't know what I was doing, Mark said quickly. She was a slave. I just wanted to help. Narek stared at them for a long moment, then cursed under his breath. You're bonded, he muttered. I can see it, the glow in your veins, the connection. You have no idea what you've done. Mark stepped forward. Then explain it. Narek leaned in. The blood code was made by Arya's ancestors thousands of years ago. It's not just a genetic key, it's a spiritual lock. Once opened, the bond echoes through time. You didn't just become her mate. You may have awakened the oldest version of her bloodline. Arya whispered, That's why I'm seeing other lives. Narek nodded. And if that's true, then you're in more danger than you think. Why? Mark asked. Because her bloodline is tied to the first spark, an ancient power hidden inside the royal codes. If the Empire finds out her memories are returning, they won't just want her, they'll try to drain her, use her. Mark clenched his fists. Then help us, Narek sighed. I can hide you for now, but you need to decide fast. You either run forever or you fight back, Arya spoke up. What if we unlocked all the memories? Could we find the spark? Narek looked stunned. That's suicide. You don't even know what it is. I don't care, she said. I feel it waking inside me. And if I remember everything, maybe I'll know how to protect us both. That night, inside a small bunker under the base, Arya lay on a bed, breathing slowly. Mark sat beside her, watching her sleep. Her face twitched gently. Suddenly she cried out. Mark grabbed her hand. Arya! She gasped and sat up, eyes wide, glowing. Gold. I saw it again, she whispered. You were wearing armor. You were bleeding. I was holding you. And I kissed you goodbye. Mark's heart raced. Was it me? She nodded. It was always you, in every life. Even when your face was different, your eyes were the same. Mark said nothing. Then slowly, he reached forward and brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. Then maybe this time, he said quietly, we'll get it right. The night sky above Cyros 9 looked different. The stars weren't white here, they pulsed blue and green, swirling in strange shapes, but to Mark, they looked beautiful. He stood on a platform outside the bunker, staring up in silence. Behind him, the door creaked open. Arya stepped out quietly. She wore a long cloak borrowed from Narek's crew. Her silver hair shimmered under the alien moonlight. She walked beside him without speaking. For a while, neither of them said anything. Arya broke the silence. I remember the stars from another world. And the way you looked at me. Mark turned to her, surprised. In another life? She nodded. We stood on a balcony. The sky was burning, but you still smiled. And I asked you one question. Mark looked into her golden eyes. What did you ask? Her voice dropped to a whisper. Will you stay with me, even when the stars fade? He stared at her. And did I? She nodded, tears in her eyes. You promised. But you died before you could say the words. He looked down at his hands, feeling something heavy in his chest. Then maybe this time, he said softly, I should speak them before it's too late. Arya blinked. You mean, now? Mark took a breath. I don't understand all this ancient code stuff. I'm just a man who fixes broken machines. But if fate keeps throwing me back into your life, again and again, then maybe I'm not supposed to run. He stepped closer, no matter how strange this is. I choose you, Arya, not because of a bond, not because of your powers, but because I want to. Her lips trembled. That sounds like a vow. He smiled, then let it be one. The wind picked up around them. A soft hum echoed in the air. Suddenly, the stars above them rearranged themselves, lines of light forming a perfect circle in the sky. Arya gasped. It's the celestial seal, she whispered. It only appears when a soul bond is accepted. By the stars, Mark frowned. Wait, are you saying the universe just said yes to us? She laughed softly, wiping a tear. In my culture, yes. This is our true wedding, not the Empire's way. Not through chains or law, but through choice, under open sky. Mark took her hands, and in that quiet moment, under the alien heavens, the vow that had never been spoken across lifetimes, finally found its voice, but not far away. Inside the hidden chamber of a black Imperial warship, Commander Threll stared at a glowing map. The celestial seal lit up in the sky, and his ship's scanners tracked it. They performed the vow. His officer reported, the bond is complete. Threll's lips twisted in disgust. Then we're out of time. Prepare the reversal protocol. But sir, the officer said, nervous, if we force a reversal now, it could kill them both. Threll finished coldly. Yes, but if the spark awakens fully, the girl becomes a threat to the throne. He slammed his fist on the console. Find them. Now back on Cyros 9, Arya lay beside Mark inside the bunker. Her head rested on his shoulder. His arm held her gently. You've changed, she whispered. How? Your heartbeat. It matches mine now. Mark raised an eyebrow. That's weird, but kind of beautiful. She nodded. The bond is deeper than I thought. I can hear your thoughts sometimes, feel your fear, even taste your memories. He laughed. Taste my memories? That sounds creepy, she smiled. You like spicy food too much. They both laughed, but the moment didn't last. Suddenly, the walls trembled, red lights flashed. Warning, external breach detected. Imperial forces approaching. Mark jumped out of bed. They found us. Arya's eyes burned gold. They're going to try to undo it. The bond, us. Mark grabbed his gear. Then we fight. She touched his chest. Or we run one last time to the Temple of Origins. He looked at her confused. What's that? Arya's voice was serious now. It's the only place where a full blood bond can awaken the spark. If we reach it before they stop us, we change everything. Mark stared at her. Then nodded. Then we go. The Temple of Origins wasn't on any map. It wasn't built from metal or stone. It was carved into a glacier made of blue crystal, hidden on a dead moon where no wind blew and no stars watched. Mark stared up at it, breath fogging in the freezing air. "This place looks like a tomb," he whispered. Arya stood beside him, her cloak wrapped tight. "It is." "And it isn't. It's where bonds are tested, where truth burns, and where lies freeze." They walked together through a glowing archway, their footsteps echoing across the icy floor. Inside, the temple was alive. Not with machines, but with something older. The walls shimmered with heat on one side and frost on the other. Too great. Doors stood ahead, one glowing red, the other glowing white. "The ceremony of fire and ice," Arya said softly. "We must enter together. One step in fire, one in ice. If our souls match, we survive. If not..." She didn't finish. Mark looked at both doors. "What happens if we fail?" Her voice trembled. "Our bond will break, and our hearts will freeze forever." He turned to her. "Then let's not fail." She reached out. He took her hand. Together, they stepped forward, one foot into the red flames, the other into the frozen mist. Pain hit instantly. Mark gritted his teeth. His skin burned and froze at once. Every heartbeat echoed like thunder in his ears. The walls around them spun with images of past lives, of promises made and broken, of kisses in war and deaths in peace. He saw Arya, not just now but across time. In armor, in gowns, in tears, in blood. She always reached for him, and he always came, even when he died doing it. In the real world, outside the temple, Imperial ships landed on the ice. Commander Threll stepped out first, his black coat flapping in the windless cold. "Scan the temple," he ordered. "Is the bond active?" A tech officer nodded. "Yes, sir, they're inside. Ceremony has begun." "Then, launch the disruptor," Threll said coldly. "Burn the bond from their bodies." "But sir, if we interrupt now, do it?" The officer hesitated and pressed the button. A long cannon rose from the ship, glowing with dark energy aimed at the temple's heart. Inside, the floor cracked. Mark stumbled, holding Arya tighter. "What's happening?" she gasped. "They're trying to cut the bond, force it apart." Mark shook his head. "No, I won't let them take this from us, not again." He pulled her into his arms. The temple lights flared. The flames rose. Higher. The frost closed in. A voice echoed from the air, deep and old. "Do you choose her freely?" Mark shouted. "Yes. Even in death?" "Even in death." "Then speak her name and offer your soul." Mark turned to Arya. She was shaking, eyes glowing, lips blue. "I don't know all the rules," he said. "I'm just a man. But I love you." He leaned in, placed his forehead against hers. "I offer you everything I am, even if the stars fall," Arya cried softly. "I accept. And I return it." Suddenly, the bond flared between them, two lights merging into one. Brighter than any fire or ice. The temple roared. Outside, the cannon exploded, shattered by the shockwave of power from within. Commander Threll's ship was thrown backward. He stood frozen in shock. "It's too late," whispered the tech officer. They completed the ceremony. Inside the temple, Mark and Arya collapsed to the ground. The room was quiet now. Calm. Her hand found his. Their eyes opened at the same time. "We're alive," Mark whispered. Arya smiled, weak but glowing. "More than alive." Their skin shimmered with new light. Something inside them had changed forever. "We completed it," she said. "The spark is real. And it lives in both of us now." Mark nodded, still catching his breath. "Then let's use it." The temple doors opened with a slow groan. Arya and Mark stepped out together, hand in hand, bathed in golden light. Their bodies looked human, but more. Energy flowed beneath their skin like glowing rivers. Their eyes shone with matching light. They had survived fire and ice. They had finished the bond. Now, they were something new, on the icy ridge ahead. Commander Thrall stood waiting with dozens of armored soldiers. He raised his voice. "You should have stayed dead, princess." Mark stepped forward. "She's not yours to command." Thrall sneered. "And you? You think love gives you power, human?" Mark smirked. "Not power, purpose." The air trembled. Arya lifted her hands, palms glowing with golden energy. "You tried to erase us in every lifetime. You failed in every one." Thrall raised a weapon. "Kill the traitor. Wipe them both." His men aimed, but before a single shot was fired, the ground split open. A massive pulse of energy exploded outward from the temple, knocking all Imperial soldiers to the ice. Their weapons melted. The snow turned to steam. Thrall tried to stand, but his legs failed. He looked up at them, horror in his eyes. "This bond," he gasped. "It's not just love. It's the first spark." Arya nodded. "The power of two souls that choose each other freely in every lifetime. The Empire cannot control it. That's why they feared it." Mark took her hand again. "This ends now." Together, they raised their arms. A beam of golden light burst upward so bright. It reached the sky. Above, every Empire ship in orbit lost power. Engines died. Shields vanished. The stars themselves seemed to pause. 3 days later, across the galaxy, news spread. Royal bloodline restored. Empire retreating. The bonded ones live. People whispered their names. Some called them rebels. Others called them gods, but most called them hope. On a quiet green planet, far from war, Mark sat under a tree with Arya beside him. She wore no bracelets now. No chains. Just soft clothes and a smile that lit up his world. He handed her a cup of warm tea. "You sure you're okay?" She nodded. "I feel whole. For the first time in all my lives." Mark chuckled. "You've had a lot of lives. And you were in every one," she said, smiling. He looked at her seriously. "Will there be more?" She leaned against him. "If fate wants us again, I'll find you. Even if I'm old and grumpy. Even then." They watched the sky together. The stars above were back in their place, but one still glowed a little, brighter than the rest. The same star that had shone above the Temple of Origins. Mark pointed at it. "Think that's where it all started?" Arya nodded. "Or maybe where it ended, so something new could begin." They sat in silence for a while. Then she said, "You know, there's still one thing we haven't done." "What's that?" She grinned. "A real wedding, with music, with guests." Mark raised an eyebrow. "You sure you want a crowd watching me cry?" She laughed, and for the first time, it wasn't the laugh of a broken princess, or a girl carrying old pain. It was the laugh of a woman free, in love and alive.